প্রিয় দর্শক, আসসালামু আলাইকুম। কোর ভিশন ফাউন্ডেশনের উদ্যোক্তা উন্নয়ন কার্যক্রম ভিশন ফর সাকসেসে স্বাগতম। দর্শক, সফলতা আমাদের সবার কাম্য। প্রতিটি ক্ষেত্রে আমরা সফলতার জন্য করছি প্রতিযোগিতা, কিন্তু সফলতার সংজ্ঞা কি, এর মাপকাঠি কি আমরা জানি? সম্পদ, নাম, ক্ষমতা পেলেই কি আমরা সফল? কোরআন ও সুন্নাহর আলোকে এসব প্রশ্নের উত্তর খুঁজতেই কোর ভিশন ফাউন্ডেশনের উদ্যোক্তা উন্নয়ন কার্যক্রম ভিশন ফর সাকসেস। আমাদের আজকের আলোচনা ইমোশনাল ওয়েলনেস। আসুন কোরআন ও সুন্নাহর আলোকে জেনে নেই। Our speaker today, Mohammad Hasan, young Islamic scholar. Brother, assalamu alaikum. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
So, why these topics are important? Emotional wellness. How you are going to define it?
Sure. So I think emotional wellness, this is a siha insaniya, siha nafsiya rather. This is very, very important. All of us, we deal with, as we're living life, as a Muslim, deal with all sorts of emotional challenges, pain, difficulties, from depression, anxiety, eating disorders, to addictions. And I think this is a big problem in our community, but this is something that we are very ashamed about. This is something that we are afraid to talk about. People are suffering. Matter of fact, they say 1 in 5 Muslims in this country, and Bangladesh is included, deal with mental illnesses.
20%.
20%. And I get calls all the time, as someone who's a therapist in field psychology, and also being a da'i, going around different masajid and going around different college campuses. I can't tell you how many times after khutbah, after a talk, after a lecture in a conference, or at a school, always in Brother Mohammed, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. We have high school students, high school sister who is depressed and cutting herself. We have college young brother who is addicted. We have 30-year-old mother who has a lot of anxiety and can't get out the house. A 50-year-old father who has anger problem and breaks things in the house, or a 70-year-old who came from Bangladesh, a grandmother, and she is in so much pain because she's feel like she's not treating well by her daughter-in-law, and she always thinks of dying. So these are people are emotionally not well, and I think we need to address this topic, not only how the Quran and the Sunnah deal with it, also from the medical perspective. What does the science have to offer as far as how do we stay emotionally healthy. So I think this is a very important topic, and I think it's something that we need to be able to address so that we can do better as a community.
So how you are going to we are going to handle, how should we handle all this things?
Sure. So firstly, I think we need to begin to address this topic, because in the Muslim community, in the Bangladeshi community, we just don't talk about this, but people are suffering. So I like to say there are 4 myths, 4 misconceptions that we have when it comes to mental illnesses, psychological illnesses. Number 1, we think that mental illness means you're pagal, majnoon, you're crazy. That's the first thing we think. And that's so I'll get to that in a second. So the first problem is that we think that if it's mental illness, matter of fact, as I'm talking about this, I'm sure some people, some folks who are watching, they're probably like, oh, he's probably talking about crazy people. That's just one part. Some folks, they see things, they hear things, and they need to be in hospital. That's one part. But there are other folks who totally have regular lives. Go to work, they go to school, they're married, have families, and they're dealing with these issues. So firstly, we want to acknowledge that mental illness is real. This issue is real. It's not some made up stuff. So I think we need to firstly acknowledge it. So that's the first myth we have, that it's not an illness. And you find in Islamic history, in the 8th century in Baghdad, we had hospitals and doctors who were specializing in treating people with their psychological and emotional issues. We Muslims were one of the first to pioneer this, because we knew that just like you get sick, that you get diabetes, you get cancer, you get blood pressure, you get heart problems, just like that you have anxiety, depression, and so forth. It's just like that. You get sick physically, and you get sick emotionally. and it's okay to get sick and okay to get help. So that's number one. So, number two, we think that maybe it's a jinn problem, or it is hasad, or is ayn, jinn or magic, or somebody being jealous. If you speak to scholars, they'll tell you that 90% of these cases, when people are they're feeling depressed, or something is going on in their marriage, or this, 90% is not jinn. We blame everything on jinn. Yes, some part is jinn, and that's what makes me different. And me as someone in the mental health field, as a professional, I'm different from my non-Muslim colleagues and doctors, in that I know deep inside, I know part of me that some things are jinn. My colleague who's a non-Muslim doctor, he's not going to agree with that. But that doesn't mean that I blame everything on jinn. 90% is not jinn issue. 90% is actually psychological issue. But we like blaming jinn and blaming magic. Reason why I'm feeling so down, or my son, he's having addiction because somebody did nazar, from back home. So let's send some dua to the hujud, back home. That will fix it. No, your son is addicted because he's addicted. You gotta seek treatment. You gotta get help. And so I think mental illness is caused by purely your genetics. Some people by genetics, Allah gave you this challenge. Some people due to trauma. There are people in our community who have faced abuse. And when you go through abuse, it affects you. Just like if you go in the cold and you don't have any clothes on, you catch a cold, right? Because your body is shivering, temperature goes down, immune system is low, and then you get attacked with the virus or bacteria. Just like that, when someone goes through very traumatic divorce in the house, someone loses someone loved one, they go into an accident, they're beaten up by somebody, that gets you emotional illness. Just like you get physically ill, you get emotionally ill. So, so number two is, I think, very important to know, is that it's not jinn issue. Number three, I think for us to know that if you have emotional illness, it doesn't mean you have iman problem. I think that's third thing we have problem about. We think, make some more dua, or read some more Quran. Allah will solve all your problems. That's true. Allah will solve your problem, but He also wants you to take the step. One Sahabi came and he said, Ya Rasulullah, should we seek medical treatment for our illness? He says, yes, because Allah made the disease and He also made the cure.
We'll take a break.
Sure.
And come back soon. Dear viewers, you're watching Vision for Success. Stay with us. Dear viewers, welcome back. You are watching Vision for Success. Here with us, Mohammed, Hasan. We are talking about emotional wellness. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, so before the break, we were talking about what I call the 4 myths, misconception, wrong ideas that we have about mental illness. So we said, number 1, mental illness is an illness. Number 2 is that it's not a jinn problem. Number 3, we're talking and saying that mental illness is not iman problem. For example, somebody is a scholar, the imam, and they have a heart problem. Do you say, what, imam, reason why you have a heart problem? Because you're not praying enough. We don't say that. For some reason, when people have depression or anxiety, or we say, because you're not praying enough, or no, it's illness. Yes, being Muslim and having iman helps you. That's true, it helps you, but it's not the solution. You could say, no, but Islam says to read, Quran is shifa. Quran is shifa. Okay, for example, Prophet ﷺ taught dua for stomach problems. If you have a stomach pain, Prophet ﷺ taught dua. How many of us just read the dua for a stomach problem and don't go to doctor? We don't. We go to doctor. So why is it that when it comes to mental illness, we go, no, just read the dua? Of course, dua is there. Allahumma inni Hasan. It's a beautiful dua. Read the dua, but it also means you have to seek the help. There are treatment for these things. Matter of fact, in our history, this goes into my 4th point, is that there are treatment for these things. In our history, there's a famous scholar, and very someone that we should know about. His name is Abu Zayd al-Balkhi. He was born in Khurasan in the 9th century, and he grew up and he learned in Baghdad. He's actually also a Quran scholar. He wrote a tafsir volume called Najm al-Quran, and he's one of the first in the world, forget Muslim, non-Muslim, in the world, to write about cognitive behavioral therapy. This is how you, when you talk to someone, you deal with someone, you help them change their wrong ideas, you help them feel better through talking and through, and he was criticizing doctors of his time that they are focusing too much on physical illness and nothing on psychological, emotional well-being. And so it's in our history. And Ibn Qayyim talked about this. At-Tabari spoke about this. How matter of fact, Ghazali spoke about how children, they learn fear from bad experiences from their parents. So this is in our tradition. So I think we need to be able to seek help that we need, because it's not an un-Islamic to seek help. Yes, tie your camel, and have tawakkul on Allah. Have tawakkul on and tie your camel. You have to do both. So I think as Muslim community, as Bangladesh community, we need to really stop with this shame, and can we talk about this, and really begin to address this. People are suffering in our community, and we make it hard for people when we say, oh, this is a bad thing. How many times do you find somebody has diabetes and we go, oh, shame, diabetes? We don't do that. Why is it that when someone has depression, I know an imam who has he gets anxiety. It's not because he has low iman or he's a bad person. He just this is illness that he has. Why are we going to tell him shame? Something is wrong with you. You're bad. Oh, you're pagal. No, being having psychotic problem, that's one part of mental illness. But majority of people are dealing with day-to-day problems, which are not psychotic. They need to go to hospital and be hospital. No, they're dealing with depression, anxiety. They have some addiction sometimes. And we need to make it easy for people to be able to seek help. Because we made this into a thing where no one can go anywhere. And this is actually a treatment. Just like back in the days in the village, somebody would give you a tree, and you would eat a little bit. You don't go to a village and do that. There are medical school. There are trainings. Just like that, there has been trainings now. There are ways of dealing with through medication as well. Along with medication, also dealing with someone who's professional can help you through your problem. Just talk with you and help you sort of think through what you went through. For example, someone has went through something traumatic. They lost someone, or they were in a big accident. They keep on having this image. There are techniques that I can help you and be able to get that image out. By you visualizing things, by me telling you, okay, change the picture in your head. It's actually through talk, I can actually help you change. So this is actually treatment. And so we find even in the Quran, in the Sirah rather, Prophet ﷺ helped change people's mind. A young man comes, Ya Rasulullah, give me permission. I want to commit zina. I want to have unlawful sexual relationship. Because he was, young man, and he saw, he fell in love, whatever, and person came and talked with him. He consoled him. That's but all imams are not trained for this. And now we have trainings. We have people can get expert, and that's why we have psychologists, we have therapists, we have psychiatrists, and we should seek the help.
So you are going to organize training for the imam also?
That's one of my goal, inshallah, is that imams have their role. Not everybody can be everything. For example, we have problems in our masjid, and I always say this, and I go to so many masjid. For example, masjid board members, they think they are the carpet expert, the sound expert, and the everything in between. If you are a dentist, if you are a doctor, if you are a businessman, you're not necessarily a sound engineer. Give it to the experts. So sometimes we have imams aren't me as an imam, or me I don't have solution for everything. Somebody came to Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, should we in Medina they used to do something with the tree, and Prophet gave them a different advice. And next season their harvest was low. Prophet said, look, I'm just a prophet. I'm here to guide you in your spirituality and iman, but I can't tell you how to best plant your trees. Even in battles, we find in battle of Badr, we find when they had the water, and he said, okay, let's not camp here, let's camp there. One Sahabi said, Ya Rasulullah, are you saying this because you're a prophet, or are you saying this of your own wisdom? He said, my own wisdom. Then he said, you know what? Then I think we should do the opposite, because I'm more better at strategizing about the war. So we have to let the expert do the expert job. So I think there needs to be collaboration between imams and professionals, because sometimes imams get this all the time. People come with their marriage problems, but imam isn't necessarily expert at solving marriage problems. Same with if someone comes to a engineer about their fiqh issue, that wouldn't make sense. If you need some mas'ala in some is haram or halal, don't go to an engineer. Go to the imam. Don't go to someone who just read some books. Go to actual scholar. And same way, if you have marriage problem, imam might not be the best idea, because he might be dealing with his own marriage issue, and he might not know how to even deal with the people. There are trainings, there are people, marriage and family therapists, and we have Muslims now who are trained in this. They know how to help the couple, the wife and husband, deal.
We'll take another break. We'll come back soon. Dear viewers, you are watching Vision for Success. Stay with us. Dear viewers, welcome back. You are watching Vision for Success. Here with us, Brother Hasan. Yes. You are talking about the statistics, the 20% of this. So how we can educate our people that they have a problem, this kind of problem, and they should get out of this?
Sure. I think we need to do awareness. So that's why, this in New York just a month ago, maybe you remember, a month or a few weeks ago, we had a whole initiative where 80 masjids in New York City, all the imams and the khatibs, and I joined in, all of us got together and we talked about mental health, talked about emotional wellness, talked about anxiety, depression, all these issues, suicide, all the issues in our community. We spoke about it in the khutbah. All the masjid, one day. Because it's a big problem, and we need to address it. It's not shame. People need help, and inshallah people do better once they get help. Just like, if imagine that nobody went to doctor for diabetes, we'll have a big problem. We just seek the help. Imagine no one in the Muslim community, no one in the Bangladeshi community went for doctors anymore. That would be a problem. So we have heart problems. So same way. So I think number one is awareness. We might not even know they have these problems. In this country, we don't realize. First of all, 20% of Muslims in the U.S. have dealing with some sort of issues. Then addiction, about 20 to 25% of college students, Muslims, are addicted to some kind of drugs. If you go to some of the very, in New York City, for example, in our city, in some of the specialized high schools, a lot of the Bangladeshi children are addicted to weed. I hear when I go to schools like Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, I hear so many kids that are doing weed, ganja. It's very big, 50% at some places, and the parents don't realize. They think, oh, my son, he's so small and cute, and they don't realize they're under stress. Sometimes they're doing these drugs. I have in my therapy all the time. Young people is in top college schools, Muslims, Bangladeshi. Their parents are religious. They have beard, going to the masjid, and their son is selling drugs. This is real. We don't want to act like it's happening. In Jackson Heights, they even start to, there's new reports now. They're bringing drugs back from Bangladesh. Some of the cough syrups, that are big. You don't realize that Morocco, Muslim countries, Morocco is the largest supplier of cannabis. Afghanistan, biggest supplier of heroin. In Saudi Arabia, 12.3 metric ton of amphetamines were confiscated. That's a few years ago. 6% of Pakistan, for example, has some sort of drug problem. Bangladesh, in this country too. When we think of drug problem, we think of somebody in a small like a abandoned building, they're shooting up. That's not what's happening. What's happening here? Kids downstairs in the basement, they're doing these things. Parents have nice house in Long Island, kids downstairs, smoking, downstairs doing that, and this is real. And I'm not going to even mention another addiction, which is pornography. Huge. This is a huge problem. A lot of adults, and I was in Bangladesh. You wouldn't believe this. And I went to this small internet cafe in this village just a few years ago. And I just went, and I'm curious. I went through their history, see what people are searching. This is a small village, one internet cafe. I go through history. They're watching porn. Pictures of nude women, and they're addicted to this. They keep on watching this stuff. And unless we deal with these issues, there are help for these things. People think, oh, you just got to say, make istighfar. You can't just make istighfar and make dua and this go away. This is a disease. Maybe once it starts, it becomes a disease. And disease has treatment. In therapy, we have treatment. We help you sort of figure out how did it get started, then figure out when does it happen, when does these things happen. So there are treatment for these things. So I think Muslims need to know, and also not to mention even abuse. Abuse is huge in our community. You know, I have no idea how many people I get in my office, in my clinic. There's, he was, this person was abused by some tutor, or even father, touched, molested, so many people, when they're young, in the young age, some cousin touched them some way. Molestation is a huge issue. Abuse, 1 in 3 women, or this, like every day 3 women are either abused by, killed by their loved one. We have 1 in 3 women in the world will be abused or forced into sex or be hit in their lifetime. These are scary statistics. In the Muslim community, we have abuse of women, and these are people who are traumatized. And unless we can talk about these, I'm sure people, as people watching, some will go, what's going on? What are these, these brothers talking about? And what is Imam talking about? But these are real issues. And unless we can address them, we're going to just sit in the dark, and just by hiding it, it's not going to go away. Hiding doesn't make things go away. You have to address it. There are solutions for this. Islam talks about this. We had Sahabi who was alcoholic. This is a real issue in Medina, because Sahabas used to drink alcohol before, right? Alcohol wasn't banned in Islam till the 6th year of Hijrah, meaning when the Prophet migrated to Medina, then alcohol was slowly banned. It was a normal culture for the Arabs, for the Quraysh, to drink alcohol. So they had to go through a change. When Islam said alcohol is haram, it took some time. That's why you find the Quran, it was done by stages, right? First stage, don't come to pray if you're drunk. It's not good for you for first ayat. So Allah slowly got them to, it was a process. Sahabas had family problems. This is real. A sahabiya came, she came, Ya Rasulullah, my husband, he abuses me. And he said, you know what, tell your husband, you are in my protection. And so she goes back, and she said, no, he didn't listen. So Prophet took a piece of his cloth, and he cut it, and he said, give this to him, and tell him, I am the messenger of Allah. Like a summon. He has to come see me. Tell him, I am the messenger of Allah. She said, no, he beat me more. Then he raised a hand, made dua against this young man. So sometimes we say, in a Quran ayat says, you could beat women. But how many people actually look in the Quran and say, okay, I'm having a problem with my wife, let me look at what the Quran solution is. Oh, beat wife. Then they do it. It's more like they get angry, then they fight, then they go on, but Islam, it's okay. When do you find example of Prophet beating his wife? Give me one example. None. If the Prophet didn't do it, and you don't even understand the context of talk to the scholars and find out what this ayat is about. How does it work? What are the system? And we come from Bangladesh. We come from a culture, from a Hindu influenced culture. In Hindu, a woman would be buried 100 years ago, buried with the husband. Yeah. We come from that culture. Our forefathers were Hindus, so we still have a lot of baggages that we brought from back home. Even though Islam came, we still brought a lot of trash from Hindu culture. So I think we need to really do a hard look. And so these are real issues that we're facing, from abuse, from trauma, to addictions, suicide, depression. And I think we need to be able to address it so that we can have emotional wellness. I think that's very, very important.
Thank you very much, Brother Hasan. I believe the viewers will learn all these things, and we'll continue this discussion in next episode. Thanks once again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
দর্শক, আমরা গতানুগতিক জীবনে অভ্যস্ত। শারীরিক অসুস্থতাকে আমরা গুরুত্ব দেই, মানসিক অসুস্থতাকে আমরা গুরুত্ব দেই না। আজকের আলোচনা কি কোনো গুরুত্ব পাবে? সফলতার জন্য অপরিহার্য হচ্ছে মানসিক সুস্থতা, অপরিহার্য হচ্ছে ভিশনারি হওয়া। ভিশনারি উদ্যোক্তারাই বদলে দিতে পারেন সমাজ। ভিশন, আত্মবিশ্বাস, পরিশ্রম এবং ধারাবাহিক চেষ্টা এনে দিতে পারে সাফল্য। আসুন সফলতার জন্য সেভাবেই চেষ্টা করি। নতুন প্রজন্মকে ভিশনারি উদ্যোক্তা ও পরিশ্রমী হতে এবং ইতিবাচক ভাবতে শেখাই। অনুষ্ঠান সম্পর্কে আপনার পরামর্শ মতামত লিখুন visionforsuccessusa@gmail.com। ইনশাআল্লাহ আবারও দেখা হবে আগামীকাল এখানে এই সময় টাইম টিভিতে। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।